Every winter, 21 million American homes let mice walk through gaps as small as a quarter inch. The permanent fix costs about $3 steel wool and caulk, endorsed by CDC for years. Yet the pest control industry pulls in $28 billion a year, 81% from repeat customers paying for poison that never seals the hole. The real question isn't whether this $3 fix works, it's who profits when you never hear about it. A mouse doesn't need an open door to get inside. All it takes is a gap the width of a pencil, just 1/4 of an inch. That's not a myth. Building science research, city inspection manuals, and pest control handbooks all confirm the same number. A 0.25-inch opening is enough for a full-grown house mouse to squeeze through. These tiny highways aren't rare. Over 70% of American homes have at least one gap that size or larger, under doors, around pipes, in cracked foundations, or where caulk has shrunk away from window frames. In older houses, you might find a dozen or more. Even new construction isn't immune. Modern homes still leave gaps around utility lines and vents, each one a potential entry point. Multiply those gaps across the country and the scale becomes staggering. According to national pest management surveys, 21 million U.S. homes experience a rodent intrusion every winter. That's 1 out of every 6 houses, a number that stays steady year after year. The reason is simple. Mice don't need an invitation, just an opening. If you can slip a pencil under your basement door or see daylight around a pipe, you've got a mouse-sized welcome mat. The vulnerability is nearly universal, and unless every gap is sealed, the problem isn't going away. The evidence is clear. As long as these invisible entry points remain, mice will keep coming back, no matter how much poison you put down. Every month, millions of homeowners hand over $45 or more for a service that promises to keep mice at bay. The routine is always the same. A technician arrives, checks the usual hotspots, and sets out another round of bait or poison. But the cycle never ends. The mice keep coming back, and so do the bills. In the words of Mike Rivera, a veteran pest control technician, if they're still calling, we're still working. That mantra isn't just a joke passed around at training. It's the business model. Rivera describes how trainees are taught to focus on bait placement and monitoring, not on sealing the gaps that let mice in. The technician's checklist is built around checking traps, refilling bait stations, and logging each visit for billing. Exclusion, actually blocking the holes, is rarely more than a footnote, if it's mentioned at all. For homeowners, that means the problem is never truly solved. The $45 monthly fee guarantees a technician's return, but not a mouse-free house. The system rewards repeat business, not permanent results. Rivera admits that most service calls are to the same addresses, year after year. As long as the entry points remain open, the industry has a steady stream of customers locked into contracts, hoping this month's poison will finally do what last month's didn't. The promise of control is always just out of reach, and the meter keeps running. A roll of coarse steel wool and a tube of caulk, those are the only 2 things a homeowner needs to block most mouse entry points. At any hardware store, the price is almost trivial. $5.99 for a 13-foot roll of steel wool, $3.49 for a tube of silicone caulk. Add a utility knife for $2.99 and a pair of gloves for under $1. And the total outlay is often less than $12. That is not a sales pitch. It is the real price, checked against major retailers in March 2026. This single kit is enough to seal 30 to 40 typical gaps, from pipe sleeves in the basement to cracks around dryer vents. A 10-ounce tube of caulk will cover more than 100 feet of seams, far more than most homes require for a first pass. The method is simple and fast. Cut a piece of steel wool, press it tightly into any hole larger than a pencil, then smooth a bead of caulk over the top to lock it in place. The steel wool irritates rodent teeth and gums, making them stop chewing. The caulk holds the barrier and keeps out drafts and moisture. For larger holes, a square of hardware cloth or a strip of excluder, a commercial rodent blocker woven from stainless steel, can be trimmed and screwed in place. Excluder costs more, about $25 for a 12-foot roll, but it is designed to last for years without rusting or breaking down. This approach isn't just a home repair hack. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention puts it at the top of their official guidance. Seal all cracks and openings with durable materials such as steel wool combined with caulk or concrete. The CDC calls this the first line of defense, ahead of any poison or trap. For homeowners, that means a permanent fix is not only cheap, it is endorsed by the country's top public health authority. For homeowners facing gaps too wide for steel wool and caulk, there's a next step up, one that doesn't break the bank and lasts for years. Sarah Patel, a building science consultant, demonstrates the upgrade. A strip of excluder material, trimmed to size, pressed into a 2-inch gap beside an old dryer vent. Excluder is a commercial-grade rodent blocker woven from stainless steel fibers, designed to resist chewing and rust. Unlike plain steel wool, which can break down in damp basements, excluder stands up to weather and moisture for a decade or more. A single 12-foot roll costs about $25 at most hardware stores. That's enough to seal every oversized hole in a typical house: door sweeps, pipe chases, even the corners where foundation walls meet the sill plate. Sarah points out that for especially large or irregular openings, hardware cloth, a 1/4-inch metal mesh, can be cut and screwed in place. The mesh is rigid, impossible for mice to bite through, and holds up for 10 years or longer. While the upfront cost is higher than a roll of steel wool, both excluder and hardware cloth turn a vulnerable spot into a permanent barrier. Most homeowners spend less than $40 to $60 total for these heavy-duty materials, a one-time investment that outlasts any bait or poison. The result? A home that stays sealed year after year, with no need to call the pest company back every winter. Sarah's advice is blunt. Choose the material that fits the gap, install it tight, and forget about mice for the next decade. Repeat business isn't just common in the pest control world, it's the foundation. National survey data show that 81.6% of residential pest control revenue comes from customers who sign up for ongoing service. That's not a rounding error, it's the business model. In 2025, the industry is projected to pull in $28.5 billion. Nearly all of that comes from the same homes, built again and again, year after year. Mike Rivera, who spent 2 decades as a technician, describes how company culture rewards keeping the cycle going. If you solve the problem for good, you're out of a job, he says. The system didn't start this way. Before World War II, the main advice was to seal every gap, a permanent fix. But when warfarin hit the market in the 1950s, the industry pivoted hard to chemical contracts and recurring visits. The math is simple. As long as mice keep getting in, the cash keeps flowing. A single trip to the hardware store can solve a mouse problem for less than the price of a dinner out. For most homes, the full set of exclusion materials, steel wool, caulk, hardware cloth, and gloves totals between $30 and $60. That's not an estimate. It's the real cost, checked against retail prices in March 2026. Compare that to the pest control contract, $45 to $75 every month, or $420 to $900 a year. The math is blunt. Even if you buy the best materials, you break even in 3 months or less. After that, every month without a service call is money back in your pocket. The industry's recurring fees add up to thousands over just a few years, while a one-time fix shuts the door on mice and the endless bills. For homeowners, the numbers leave no doubt. The permanent solution is also the cheapest. Right now, millions pay for endless treatments while a $3 fix sits on the shelf. The industry profits from your problem. Exclusion ends it for good. As pest contracts pile up, the real solution stays simple and ignored. Who benefits when prevention is this easy? Demand better. Your home, your call.